Hello, folks. I am Alan for today's news. I will be reading and speaking about world news, interesting news, news to keep you entertained, and news to keep you informed. I was watching this one news program today, and I pulled this up here from CNBC. Reconciliation bill includes nearly $80 billion for IRS, including enforcement audits. What it means for taxpayers.
Senate Democrats on Sunday passed their climate, health, and tax package, including nearly $80 billion in funding for the IRS. The Inflation Reduction Act allocates $79.6 billion to the agency over the next 10 years, with more than half of the money going to enforcement. Watch now. Senate Democrats on Sunday passed their climate, health, and tax package, including nearly $80 billion in funding for the IRS. Part of President Joe Biden's agenda, the Inflation Reduction Act allocates $79.6 billion to the agency over the next 10 years. More than half of the money is meant for enforcement, with the IRS aiming to collect more from corporate and high-net-worth tax dodgers. The remainder of the funding is earmarked for operations, taxpayer services, technology, development of a direct free e-file system, and more. Collectively, those improvements are projected to bring in $203.7 billion in revenue from 2022 to 2031, according to recent estimates from the Congressional Budget Office. More from Personal Finance. Does the Inflation Reduction Act violate Biden's $400,000 tax pledge? 5 things borrowers can do while they wait for student loan forgiveness. Is the economy in a recession? Top economists weigh in. IRS audits have plunged over the past decade, with the biggest declines among the wealthy, according to a May 2022 report from the Government Accountability Office. The audit rate for Americans making $5 million or more dropped to about 2% in 2019, compared to 16% in 2010, the report found. The agency said it is working to improve these numbers. However, if the Inflation Reduction Act is approved by the House and signed into law, it will take time to phase in the added IRS funding, explained Garrett Watson, a senior policy analyst at the Tax Foundation. The Congressional Budget Office only estimates about $3 billion of the $203.7 billion in revenue for 2023. We didn't get to this state with the agency overnight, and it will take longer than overnight to go in the right direction, he said. IRS, we won't boost audit scrutiny on the middle class. While advocates applaud the enhanced IRS budget, opponents argue the beefed-up enforcement may affect more than wealthy Americans, violating Biden's $400,000 pledge. My colleagues claim this massive funding boost will allow the IRS to go after millionaires, billionaires, and so-called rich tax cheats, but the reality is a significant portion raised from their IRS funding bloat would come from taxpayers with income below $400,000, Senator Mike Crapo, Republican Idaho, ranking member of the Senate Finance Committee, said in a statement. IRS Commissioner Charles Rettig said the $80 billion in funding would not increase audits of households making less than $400,000 per year. The resources in the reconciliation package will get us back to historical norms in areas of challenge for the agency, large corporate and global high-net-worth taxpayers, he wrote in a letter to the Senate. These resources are absolutely not about increasing audit scrutiny on small businesses or middle-income Americans, he added. More than 2/3 of registered voters support boosting the IRS budget to strengthen tax enforcement on high-income taxpayers,
I don't believe
according to a
That's all there is on
2021
that
poll
one
from the
there.
University of Maryland.
And let's go to my next one here. This one here, I was watching on news. It said, this is from ATM Marketplace. Germany uncovers ATM crime wave.
Germany has recently undergone a major surge in ATM theft, as organized criminals have robbed nearly 500 ATMs in 2022 and 414 attempts in 2020, according to a report by Yahoo News. The criminals largely use bomb attacks to break open the ATMs and utilize a variety of people, including drivers, explosive experts, logistical specialists, and more, according to the report. The German news outlet Die Welt suspects the culprits may be part of a 700-member network of largely Moroccan-Dutch criminals. In particular, Dutch authorities suspect this group is behind the murder of Peter de Vries, a Dutch crime reporter, according to the report.
Maybe it just happened in the U.S. where they tied chains on the ATM and just pull them off and drag them down the road. It's happened over in Germany and the Netherlands also. And let's go to the next one here. I thought this was something. This is from Fox 2 Now out of St. Louis, Missouri. The missing Texas teens sold for sex in Missouri.
St. Louis County, MO, teens being sold for sex from a room in a St. Louis County Renaissance hotel, turned out to be missing juveniles from Texas. Court records indicate the 16 and 17-year-old victims are wards of the Texas Department of Children and Family Services, which had reported them missing from the Dallas area. The girls were rescued in February by U.S. Marshals and a special regional St. Louis County Police task force. Unfortunately, there are opportunities for traffickers, considering the I-70 corridor and proximity to the airport, that sexual traffickers can take advantage of, St. Louis County Prosecutor Wesley Bell said. Top story, Powerplex Sports Complex. Bell's office charged Joe Marius Green and Green's girlfriend, Chantel Robinson, with sex trafficking the girls. When you're dealing with children and seniors, yeah, that's going to grind your gears even more, if you will, and this is no exception to that, Bell said. Court records indicate they also stayed in Kansas City, Missouri, prior, and that they placed ads on escort service websites that included pictures of the minors online. I tip my hat to the investigative work by St. Louis County Police and, obviously, we're going to do everything we can to make certain that we hold these individuals accountable, Bell said. It's unclear from the court record how police uncovered the operation, but Bell said civilians are a crucial part of detecting these crimes. I'll say it again, our public is always our first line of defense, he said. Most individuals who are inclined to commit crimes are not going to do it in front of an officer. Fox 2 was there when advocates in Jefferson City spoke out last year about the need for more awareness. For the past 5 years, we are trying to get into schools and educate the students and educators about human trafficking, Shima Rostami, director of Gateway Human Trafficking, said. The St. Louis County Police Special Investigations Unit operates a multi-jurisdictional task force that focuses on child exploitation, handling cases in 49 counties in eastern Missouri. The department will even train civilians on what to look for if you ask. It is important that the public know and is educated about these kind of cases, because if you see something, we want you to say something, Bell said. But you need to know what you're seeing. A spokesperson for the Renaissance Hotel said they could not comment on the investigation because it's active, but that they are cooperating with police.
With the cartels. Anyway, let's go to the next one here. This one here from CNN. Suspect who allegedly shot 6-year-old neighbor and her parents in North Carolina has been apprehended in Florida.
Robert Louis Singletary, the suspect accused of shooting a 6-year-old neighbor and her parents in North Carolina after a basketball rolled into his yard, was apprehended and is in custody in Hillsborough County, Florida, according to Gaston County, North Carolina, spokesperson Adam J. Gobb. Jail records show Singletary, 24, was arrested Thursday afternoon, ending a manhunt in which police described the suspect as armed and dangerous. The suspect turned himself in to authorities, according to a news release from Gaston County. He did not have any identification on him, was processed by the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, and his identity was confirmed just before 7 p.m. Robert Louis Singletary turned himself into authorities, Gaston County officials said. Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. He is scheduled to have a hearing Friday in reference to his extradition. General Chance Saltzman of the U.S. Space Force describes what he says is a new era of space activity. The threats that we face to our on-orbit capabilities from our strategic competitors have grown substantially, Saltzman said in a CNBC interview. The message comes at a key moment as space rapidly commercializes and a heightened geopolitical backdrop increasingly sees threats extending beyond Earth. When General Chance Saltzman took the stage for his keynote at the Space Symposium in Colorado Springs, Colorado, this week, his message was simple: the U.S. is in a new era of space activity. The threats that we face to our on-orbit capabilities from our strategic competitors have grown substantially, Saltzman, the U.S. Space Force's second-ever Chief of Space Operations, said in a CNBC interview after the speech. The congestion we're seeing in space with tracked objects and the number of satellite payloads, and just the launches themselves, have grown at an exponential rate. I want to make sure that we are thinking about our processes and procedures differently, he said in an interview for CNBC's Manifest Space podcast, his first broadcast interview since becoming the service's highest-ranking military official last November.
About the space junk up there that left up in space. Let's go to the next one. This one here is from Business Insider. A Russian warplane bombed one of Russia's own border cities, adding to the country's stack of embarrassing wartime blunders.
A Russian Su-34 mistakenly bombed the Russian city of Belgorod on Thursday, authorities said. The blast injured 2 women and heavily damaged 4 apartments, per the local governor. Footage of the aftermath showed apartment walls blown to bits and wrecked cars. Full screen. A Russian jet accidentally bombed the Russian border city of Belgorod on Thursday evening, said Moscow's defense ministry. Surveillance footage of the explosion was uploaded to Telegram by the Russian news outlet RBC. It shows a bright flash before a section of the street erupts in flames, and debris is thrown into the air. During the flight of the Su-34 aircraft of the Aerospace Forces over the city of Belgorod, an abnormal descent of aviation ammunition occurred, the ministry told the state media outlet TASS. 2 women were injured in the blast, which left a 60-foot wide crater in the city center and damaged 4 apartments, Vyacheslav Gladkov, Belgorod's governor, wrote on Telegram. 1 woman was sent to hospital with a head injury, while the other suffered abrasions and was treated at the scene, Gladkov wrote.
You don't care who he gets. Let's go on the next one. Just from Zero. Russian ring busted in surprising U.S. state.
At least 78 people were killed Thursday in a stampede at a school in Sana'a, Yemen's capital. Hundreds were reportedly crushed after Houthi rebels shot into the air in an attempt at crowd control, striking an electrical wire and causing mass panic. As the end of Ramadan nears, scores of people were gathering at the school to receive donations of about $9 each. Be sure to subscribe to Zero Daily to get the world's best. 1,500. No matter what you think about the precedent set by Dominion's $787.5 million settlement with Fox News, one thing's for sure, somebody got very rich here. And that somebody is Staple Street, a little-known private equity firm that paid a mere $38.3 million for a controlling stake in Dominion 5 years ago and just got blessed with a 1,500% return on their investment. 25. Russia recently sent Beijing 25 tons of highly enriched uranium to start up a special new Chinese reactor that will help Xi Jinping rapidly expand his nuclear arsenal. Experts say China's nukes will soon be on par with those of Russia and the US, meaning that Beijing should be party to any new arms control treaties that replace the currently defunct US-Russia ones. 4. The U.S. government has charged for members of a black nationalist group in Florida with belonging to a Kremlin-run conspiracy to sow discord and corrupt U.S. elections. The members of the African People's Socialist Party allegedly failed to disclose payments from Russia for their work spreading pro-Kremlin messages. 11 million. If you want to buy a beautiful old house in Japan, you're in luck. There are currently as many as 11 million empty homes scattered across the country, a result of Japan's shrinking and aging population. Experts say the numbers of these so-called IKEA homes will only rise in the coming years, so if you're interested, grab yourself a copy of In Praise of
members of the black nationalist group in Florida with belonging to a Kremlin-run conspiracy to sow discord and corrupt U.S. elections. So right here, people. Let's go to the next one. This is from DC News Now. Former WWE wrestler charged with theft of millions from Mississippi welfare.
Jackson, Mississippi, WJTV. On Thursday, a federal indictment was unsealed in Mississippi charging former professional wrestler Theodore Ted Marvin DiBiase Jr., 40, with misappropriating millions in federal safety net funds for needy families and low-income individuals in Mississippi. According to court documents, DiBiase, along with co-conspirators John Davis, Christy Webb, Nancy New, and others, are alleged to have fraudulently obtained federal funds, including from the Emergency Food Assistance Program, TEFAP, and the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families, TANF, program. Federal sentencing delayed in Mississippi welfare fraud case. DiBiase, son of WWE superstar Ted DiBiase, Sr., also known as the $1 Million Man, was a WWE wrestler in the 2000s and 2010s. According to NBC News, DiBiase signed with the company in 2007 and wrestled under WWE until 2013. Davis was the executive director of the Mississippi Department of Human Services, MDHS. As part of the alleged scheme, after federal funds were issued to MDHS, prosecutors said Davis directed MDHS to subgrant the funds to two nonprofit organizations, Family Resource Center of North Mississippi Incorporated, FRC, and Mississippi Community Education Center, MCEC, which were operated by Webb and New, respectively. Davis allegedly directed Webb and New to award sham contracts to various individuals and entities purportedly for the delivery of social services, including at least 5 sham contracts that were awarded to DiBiase's companies, Priceless Ventures LLC and Familia Orientum LLC. According to the indictment, FRC and MCEC provided millions of dollars in federal funds from MDHS to DiBiase and his companies for social services that DiBiase did not provide and did not intend to provide. DiBiase allegedly used these federal funds to buy a vehicle and a boat, and for the down payment on the purchase of a house. AOC just won't back away from her war on cops. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has engaged in anti-police rhetoric before and has now criticized a recent raise that was negotiated with the New York Police Department. The New York socialist believes the hike in pay that the police union leader recently bargained for could be better spent on the city's social services. She somehow also thinks that cops have become militarized. Details of the pay raise. The new 8-year agreement that must be approved by the 23,000-member Police Benevolent Association would give new officers a more than $12,000 increase to $55,000 a year. Cops already on the force would get a 3.5% pay bump this August and a 4% raise the following year. Police in New York had previously gone 7 years without a pay adjustment. The new agreement will cost the city $5.5 billion by 2025. AOC says this is not fair to other city workers. AOC is still mad for what she believes is unfairness toward other city workers that deliver social services to citizens. We are now at a point where officially, most officers are paid more than a teacher with a master's degree serving these same kids involved in these same incidents, she said on The Daily Show. We are defunding safety, defunding our public schools, defunding our public pools, defunding our parks, defunding our libraries, AOC continued. In fairness to AOC, the city's budget director circulated a letter to other departments requesting cuts of 4% to their annual resources allotment. The police union head answered AOC's criticism of the pay hikes. They want to see police officers paid fairly so that the NYPD can recruit and retain the finest. Public safety isn't a punchline for a comedy show. In too many of our neighborhoods, it's a matter of life and death. NYC teachers actually make more than police officers. Teachers in the city make a salary more than most police officers. A new teacher starts out with a salary of around $68,000. Those with a master's degree can make upwards of $83,900. The right-leaning New York Post pointed out that police are often in danger of being assaulted and sometimes killed in the line of duty. An NYPD officer was just hit with a bottle by a disturbed man who had been arrested 11 other times. This incident happened hours before AOC went on television to criticize the pay raise. Security for me and not for thee. In 2021, AOC spent $10,000 on private security to guard her while also advocating for cutting police budgets. The city of New York did indeed reduce police funding by $1 billion in 2020. The leftist thought that even this sum was not enough. Defunding police means defunding police, she said at the time. The Post alluded to an interesting speculatory thought. Since she has been questioning decisions by Mayor Eric Adams, who was once an NYPD officer, perhaps she wants to run for mayor of the Big Apple someday. She also may be eyeing a primary battle against U.S. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand for that Senate seat in 2024. Either way, AOC is happy to make her cause known about public safety being a matter for social services rather than armed cops on the streets. She is not backing down from the belief in defunding police and is mad that New York's finest are getting a raise. This is despite the Congresswoman's spending on her own private security guards who are likely armed. She never seems to mind these seeming hypocrisies. She also did not immediately grasp that pay raises for cops will retain existing officers and help recruit new ones. Plus, police will have higher morale as they patrol dangerous streets. You have to hand it to AOC for sticking to her convictions however misguided they may be. Once she sinks her teeth into an issue she doesn't let go. But it seems that waging war on cops is not a good way to endear her to the union and the rank-and-file on the force. She is also slamming the mayor and that could create a backlash in City Hall. Proponents of the mayor and ordinary street cops do not like being portrayed as villains, especially when the words are coming from a politician who has her own security detail.
That reminds me when
Author expertise and experience.
St. Louis police raises and St. Louis city workers don't get nothing. Anyway, that's all I got for you for today. And I hope I got something you can use to interest you. And don't forget to like, subscribe, at least come back once in a while. And I thank you for watching.